Bonjour, welcome to Longhouse, where I will be reviewing the 2004 album The College Dropout from Kanye West, from track to track. This will be the start of a new series in which I will be reviewing a popular album from a music genre that I'm quite unfamiliar with. I chose this album because I wanted to give my full attention to an iconic hip-hop rap album of which I have heard very few. From Kanye specifically, I've heard just a couple of songs, nothing to shape any real opinion of him as an artist, so this will be an unfiltered and honest review from my subjective experience as a first-time listener. Usually I stay well rooted within the realms of metal music, and this is an attempt to broaden my horizons. So, what do I think? I like how it starts, having whom I assume is the school headmaster or teacher in the story telling him to make a song for the kids. And then it transitions right into him making a song about how tough school can be, especially for struggling families, and how they can get into dealing drugs to get by. It's clever, and it feels like an important topic, all the while he's basically telling a story. The funky beat in the background really works, and his flow is satisfying. I was immediately positively surprised at how his singing is alright, without any, there's not a lot of extra effects in the chorus, and his raps are solid. Although the chorus gets tired by the end because it returns too many times, even with the change up with the kid vocals, but it is a solid song. The transition track Graduation Day misses the mark though, because I still really like the monologuing from the school representative that is in the start of this one, but the auto-tune John Legend vocals grain on my ears and halts what feels like a really cohesive story up to this point. It's dreadful to listen to outright. The guitar and bass is really smooth on All Falls Down, and the woman singing in the back contrasts really well throughout the verse. Her voice sounds good, however, yet again the chorus is very repetitive and it returns too many times. The woman sings the same two sentences over and over, and I'm just beyond tired of it before the song ends. The verses themselves are good though. I'll Fly Away is a good change up from what we just heard. Simple and effective, piano with jazzy style, and I like that smooth bass. The vocal harmonies are really beautiful. It's a perfect way to transition from track to track. I really like this one. At this point, I was positively impressed with what I had heard before we got to the first complete miss for me. Spaceship has a lame chorus that isn't very catchy and it repeats way too often. I also outright despise the constant oohs that repeat over and over and over throughout the entire song. The beat itself is okay and changes steadily throughout the song, it's okay, but it's nothing special. The structure is predictable and the song is too long, plain and simple. I'm done with the song after 2 minutes, but it still just goes on and on. And how does Kanye follow up on the first disappointing song on the album? With potentially one of the best hip-hop songs I've heard. Jesus Walks is an absolute banger. I'm gonna say it outright. It's dramatic, has an epic choir background beat that evolves with strings to sound huge. The lyrics are serious, and his lines aren't exactly much more subtle here than before, but they have much more impact and weight. For example, I really like the line, "The only thing that I pray is that my feet don't fail me now." It goes hard, it shows vulnerability while still being badass. Here, Kanye's flow goes hard without any misses. For example, the part where he actually says breathless and getting choked by detectives, and his inhales between the lines sounds like he's actually being choked. A good example of atmospheric storytelling that goes beyond the lines themselves. And I also adore the structure of the song. It has no clear chorus or parts that repeat themselves exactly. The echoing woman singing, "Jesus walks with me," is a perfect contrast to the rapping, and the song is just really cohesive. The only problem I have with this song, and I repeat, the only problem, is the auto-tuned, high-pitched background vocal that shows up here and there. It almost sounds like a flute, but it grains against your ear in that unnatural, piercing, processed sound of pure auto-tune to completely throw you out of the song. Luckily, it's not present for longer chunks of it, so it is tolerable, but the song would genuinely be 10 out of 10 without it. Never Let Me Down is the typical upbeat pop hip-hop song, which I would usually despise, but this is pretty good. The melodies are varied and groovy, the lyrics are captivating, and it's easy to feel for the main character. JC's first verse is pretty good as well, but his lyrics at the end were embarrassing. I don't really know why this bragging is here. Like, this is Jay. Dissing Jay will get you maced. When I start spitting them lyrics, they get very religious. Are you kidding me? Like, it's just cringe. It doesn't really fit with the rest of the song at all, if you ask me. It just felt really off. I don't have much more to say about the song itself, though. It's just pretty good. Get 'Em High's chorus is repetitive and not the catchiest. The first verse is really good in terms of rap flow and getting you hooked. I really like that one, kinda goes hard, but the background beat gets tiring after a while and it's weak compared to what has come before. The features are really unnecessary, and when the beat stops, it's like it's almost just embarrassing because they don't deliver at all. Kanye did it 10 times better in the first verse, and the features just add nothing to the song. Otherwise, the rhymes are fine, but the lyrics themselves are completely uninteresting to me. Compared to something like Jesus Walks, it's a huge letdown. The transition to the new workout plan is nice, and the song itself has an experimentative, almost cartoonish style that is very welcome. It is silly and kind of absurd, which makes it fun to listen to, but the lyrics are just mostly nonsensical, and paying attention to them actually makes the song less enjoyable for me. The structure is interesting, and it is like a very untypical type of song, so I do have to give it props for that, even if nothing really grabs me. Slow Jams has nothing I outright dislike, but it manages to be perhaps the most boring song so far. It doesn't change enough, it's too slow, the lyrics aren't anything special. The best part here, though, is the twist of feature. Here finally comes a feature that completely outdoes Kanye in a song. His speed with his rhymes and his flow gives an otherwise quite slow song some much needed energy. I also like the jazzy instruments in the back throughout, and the singing is good, and finally free from that unnatural autotune garbage, so that's another plus. It's alright. Breathe In, Breathe Out is the first filler song if you ask me. Nothing new comes in this track. A serviceable backtrack that is kind of fun with its funky style, but the chorus is directly dreadful. I hate it. Whoever has the vocals in that part, like, it sounds like they're attempting to do an ironic parody of what a rap song would sound like. Otherwise, the structure is predictable and doesn't change enough throughout. The verses aren't bad, but this far into the album, we have heard much better, and the chorus seals this song as the worst so far. The School Spirit skits are funny, I like them, but if Kanye is actually trying to say something clever here, he's completely missing the mark. Obviously, it's exaggerated on purpose, it's a skit, I get it, but I assume that there's also supposed to be a message here about how degrees are worthless and that you can do without school, which I think is stupid. Statistically, people with high educations have higher paying jobs than people who do not, and without higher education, most people's opportunities are very limited in terms of what jobs they can get, because almost nobody has the chance, the talent, and the luck to become a successful artist like Kanye. But again, the skits are funny, and that is what matters. School Spirit's chorus is fun, and it goes just 3 times, so it's alright. And I really like that piano and basic, almost childlike rhythm and style. The verses are like just okay, and don't do much though. The lyrics are kind of forgettable, but it's a charming and playful song. 2 Words has a really dramatic beat with a lovely bass. The lyrics are interesting, but the best element here is honestly the choir. They add an epic element to contrast Kanye in the chorus. The varied instruments towards the end really makes for a cool ending as well. This is a really good song. Through the Wire frustrates me. The chorus is actually super catchy. I can tell that Chaka Khan, who sings it, is a good singer, and the lyrics feel genuine. However, it is completely and utterly ruined by the fact that it is pitch shifted so high that she sounds like a fucking Smurf or one of Alvin's chipmunks. It all sounds like the gain is turned up so high that her highest notes like peaks the mic. It's quite incomprehensible to me that they managed to drop the ball this hard on a chorus that could be really good, but I just can't take it seriously at all. The verses themselves are alright, he raps well as usual, but you're taken out of it constantly by this disaster of a chorus. Disappointing. Family Business actually has genuinely uplifting and inspiring lyrics. The more soul-inspired singing style is great, and the sampling of All that glitters is not gold feels genuine, and it doesn't repeat too many times. It's simple, but the piano hits the heartstrings and the lyrics don't need to be any more complicated than they are. It feels like a love letter to family and what they mean to us. I don't have much more to say. It's just a good soul rap song. Last Call has a simple beat in the back and the verses are fine and his flow is still good, but the chorus is lame and the obnoxious female chipmunk singing voice is a deciding factor here. And after 4 minutes, it's not really a song anymore. It's a long monologue from Kanye about how he got to this point in his career, which I appreciate. It's an interesting story. But musically, it adds little and has very little replay value. Also, don't think it really works as the last song. It should have been its own thing that could have followed the album. His charismatic storytelling does help though. It's fine. Overall, I'm positively impressed with the album. I can see why people would love it. It does a couple of really interesting things and changes it up enough that it doesn't get too boring despite it being quite long. I don't feel it's consistent enough that I actually would listen to it without skipping a few of the songs. In particular, Spaceship, Get 'Em High, and Breathe In, Breathe Out could be removed without me shedding any tears. And I also feel many of the songs would be better if there were less features on them because a lot of them just don't add anything that Kanye doesn't already do. However, I did not expect anything in here to click with me as well as Jesus Walks did, and along with songs like I'll Fly Away, Two Words, and Family Business, there are enough solid songs here to make the album very enjoyable as well. One disappointment I have overall though, which might be unfair, is that it is not a concept album. After the first few tracks, I was really hoping that we would keep up with the story and neat transitions to center it all around the idea of the college dropout. It doesn't do that, it's fine, but a bit of a disappointment after the first tracks. So, should I give it a rating? I would say that around 65% is where the album lays for me. I enjoyed it more than I expected, but there's definitely a lot here that really doesn't work for me, and I'm not exactly the target audience either, which is apparent in terms of most of the lyrical content and some of the vocal styles and the strong structures here and there. But overall, this is a good album. Thank you for watching. I will be back with another album review in a completely different musical direction soon enough. Goodbye.